Welcome to the Tilted Takes podcast. Hello and welcome back to the Tilted Takes podcast. I am your host, Endless, and welcome. If this is your first time listening, thank you for tuning in. This is our 4th episode. I'm joined, as always, with my co-host, Panda. How's it going today?
It's going great, man. I'm excited about some of this new items that dropped in the shop.
Oh yeah, the pterodactyl. Is that right? The pterodactyl wings and dinosaur
Pterodactyl
dinosaur nonsense.
glider.
Did you see the
There's
emote?
a new emote, the roar.
Ooh, that's just more V-Bucks and more money
Just makes
for
me
me to
think of
throw in the
Jurassic
game.
Park.
Dude, I'm pumped for the new
Yeah.
Jurassic World that's coming out soon, so I can get on this little theme they're throwing out there. All right,
I would
so
love for this to be the next season too. By the way,
dinosaur theme.
season, please and thank you.
Yeah, season 5 will be interesting to see what kind of route they take with it. The whole superhero thing. I think the rocket's getting ready to shoot off, or something's gonna happen with that. That'll be interesting. I don't know, but how can the dinosaurs come after the meteor shower? Isn't that's how the dinosaurs died? So why would the dinosaurs come after the meteor shower happens?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, no one has said though that Fortnite has to be scientifically correct, so
Yeah, I
they can
guess
do
that's
whatever they
true.
want. I guess.
Reddit wouldn't enjoy that though. You know, those Reddit people, they like things to be correct. All right, well, that was a
Yes.
great 2-minute intro to the show. On a tangent about dinosaurs. All right, on this show, we got our first interview coming up later in this episode. We're joined with Hunter from the Fortnite Esport News Twitter page. So that's going to be a really fun time talking about everything in the scene, everything he's been doing and how he got into it and what his future plans are. Until then, Panda and I are going to give you a breakdown of Week 7 of Friday Fortnite. We're not going to make every pick and prediction. We're just going to run through the list, read off some of our biggest matchups, some of the biggest things we're excited for, and who we may see at the finals. And we're just going to give a quick overview, and then we'll get right into the interview with Hunter a little later in the show. So, I don't know. This week is really interesting when it comes to Friday Fortnite. There's definitely some names missing. A few big names missing. But Ninja is playing with a brand new partner once again. That's the first item on my list to discuss. Seeing him with C9 Hysteria is is pretty interesting, especially seeing a Cloud9 player like Hysteria jump into the Friday Fortnite. I think that'll be good. We'll have to see. I've never actually seen him play that much Fortnite. I've seen him play a little bit, but we'll see how Ninja does with his newest partner.
Yeah, from what I've seen from these two, I've seen a couple streams where they've played together, and I think I caught the tail end of one where they went on some insane win streak.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is definitely kind of, I don't want to say a dark horse because I don't think any matchup with Ninja is really a dark horse matchup. But I mean, Hysteria is definitely one of those lesser known players, so it'll be cool to see him have his chance at the spotlight here a little bit, see what he can do and see what he can show people watching.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I'll name off one more of mine, then you can go ahead and start talking about some of your duos that you're excited for. One of them being more not really me excited for, but Thief is not paired up with Typical Gamer. That's who they normally is paired up together, right? It wasn't always Thief and Typical Gamer together in the past.
It is.
Yeah,
That's the normal duo there.
and now Thief is playing with Jaomach. How do you even say that name? Jao Mach. Jaomach.
Jaomach, yeah, he's a phase guy.
He's a phase guy. Okay. And they are up against a duo that is always plays well. Always find them in the losers bracket, but always find them in the late losers bracket. They always make it pretty far, and that is King Richard and Aimbot Calvin. So that'd be interesting to see how Thief does with a newer partner. Um, I definitely do see King Richard and Aimbot Calvin doing a decent job again in this Friday fortnight this week.
Yeah, I mean King Richard's definitely been picking it up here in the last few weeks, and Calvin, I'm sure, hasn't really been a bad teammate. I haven't caught many of their games, if any, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm looking forward to them as always. They're a name that's been there, and I'm sure will continue to be there. For me, I'm excited to see CD in the third finally play with somebody that uh, he'll hopefully not get first rounded with. I mean, I was excited to see him and Dakota's play, but that one didn't work out for some reason. I don't know if that was just because they were new to the tournament format or whatever, but hopefully C's actually can actually go somewhere in this one. But I think by far the best first round matchup, and I don't know if I'm skipping over another one or if there's just one I'm not seeing, is although you know what, there's one right there. So to me it's either Phase the Phase Boys versus Nick Merckx and Cypher PK,
Mm-hmm.
or TSM Boys versus TSM Boys. I mean,
Now,
that's kind of a pretty big
okay,
one right there.
I want to talk to Keem and be like, why are we throwing the TSM boys up against each other first round? They know each other inside and out. That's going to be an intense matchup. Like, they're all in the same house. They know where they like to drop. They know their play styles. That game is going to be intense for sure. I was thinking about that one and the phase one. So you definitely mentioned probably two of the best matchups in that first round for sure.
Oh, those are definitely the most like high profile ones as a matchup as a whole.
Mm.
Um, and I guess I think the reason he put them first round is because they haven't played against each other in any of the weeks that I can think of.
It's time to
So
settle
might as well match them up right now and be like, all right, have at it.
who's the best duo. Let's figure it out. Who's on top. That can maybe settle some of our TSM debate issues we've been having. Let's
Yeah, and
see.
I think again it comes down to Myth, man. I think if Myth can play well, I think him and Hamlin's will be fine. Um, I don't know who you going with. Who advances to the winners bracket out of that matchup right there with the TSM boys.
I'm gonna say Daquan and Camille's just because of their past success and just they've kind of played better against some other bigger names. So I'm gonna say Daquan and Camille's, but you know how Ham and Myth can be hit or miss, and if Myth plays well, it's probably gonna be a pretty sweaty matchup.
I think I'm gonna go Myth Ham. Obviously to go against you, I don't want to pick the same garbage you do. But no, I think this is a matchup where Myth can kind of show he's grown up a little bit and is not going to kind of choke in these big matchups. So let's see if he actually goes through with it, and I think he does. I think he steps up. I think Ham plays Ham's game, and I think those two move on out of the first round.
I mean, let's see, they would move on, and they would match up against Frags and Kenny. Those names, they're more of the pro players. They're up against Lupo and then the Rogues pro player Ginger Pop, who they played last week. They did okay. They're definitely still trying to figure out that duo. Let's say Frags and Kenny does win, being more of the pro players. They go up against one of the TSM boys. I mean, the TSM squad definitely has a decent chance to make it up and closer to those semifinals. So I'll definitely keep an eye out on that. Another big thing I'm excited for is seeing HD High Distortion in the Friday Fortnite. Obviously, tons of fans of his have been wanting him in here, been wanting to see him play because he plays, a lot with Dakotas in the mornings. He's really, really talented. He always can go off on some solos squads. He plays it all the time. He kind of was one of the first big streamers that would play solo squads and just destroy everyone. So I'm really pumped to see him and Avery X in there together. Definitely going against Nikki 30 and One Shot Girl. That's gonna be a good competition for them right away.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one too. I mean, we've seen Nick and One Shot Girl be a good duo in the past, and obviously Avery's one of the consistent players in this Fortnite tournament. Him and Noah usually play very well. And I mean, High Distortion is one of those players that people see from him playing with C's, and they know how good he is. I mean, the guy only plays solo squads, so hopefully he's able to carry it over from there and put out a good performance. And I think this is one of those teams again that could go far. But as we've seen in this tournament, and really any sport and any competitive atmosphere, anything can happen on any given day, matchup, whatever. So we'll see how it goes.
Another matchup, or not really. I mean, you already mentioned C's and OP, but they are up against Disrespect and Crafty, who we saw last week. They made it pretty far, and we discussed how Doctor Disrespect. He's not hasn't been playing Fortnite that much, but we've been seeing him streaming it more and more. He's starting to get better and better, and he's a really really good PUBG player. He's very familiar with the BR format, so seeing him with Crafty. Do you think they'll be able to make it, relatively far again? Because they have this top bracket. They have big names like, Thief above them, King Richard, and then Cypher and the FaZe clan. I mean, Dr. Disrespect and Crafty, they're going to have to do a lot of work this week in order to get as far as they did in the winners bracket like they did in week 6.
Yeah, I don't think they will. I don't think last week was necessarily a fluke, but I don't think they're gonna have it in them to get through that kind of a gauntlet of a top half of the bracket.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, obviously anything can happen, but I just don't see it. I don't see a repeat performance there.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of big names above them. Well, let's just talk about it real quick. We have Lil Xan and Lil Yachty, both rappers, big names.
I was hoping you would go there.
I mean, we have FaZe Adapt and Svenos. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Svenos, I think?
Svenos. He's
Maybe
he's an
Svenos?
NRG
I don't
pro, I believe, and he's NRG is it? I believe so. But he's a really talented player. Those are both talented players on the other side of the famous people, the rappers. So it comes down to which rapper is better, basically. I'm glad they put the rappers against each other. Maybe those two can have a little fun playing up, both being the rappers and being able to face off in their first round. I don't know. I think Svenos, if that's even how you say it, I apologize if it's wrong, but I think he is the better one. I've seen him make a lot of crazy plays.
Yeah, if you watch Twitch moments, you tend to see his name pop up there a lot, so you know he's a pretty good player and he makes things happen. Rapper wise, I I mean Yachty's played with Ninja, right?
Yeah, he's played with Ninja on stream before.
Right. So I mean we've seen that, and from what I remember, it wasn't anything impressive, obviously. Um, so no, I think if Spenos can kind of carry a little bit, I think they'll be the ones to advance.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Do you have any other matchups that you're excited about or that you enjoy? I'm trying to look through my list here and see what else we can cover.
One that I just kind of noticed and stumbled upon here, Vicstar and Noah J are
Mm-hmm.
together. So I don't know if Tiny wasn't playing or something, because obviously that's who Vicstar usually plays with.
Yeah.
Um,
He
but
didn't
I
play
mean, heck,
last week
I like
either, I don't think.
he
Tiny
made off.
didn't.
I don't know. I like seeing people kind of switch it up a little bit. I mean, I also enjoy seeing the normal teams, but I mean, never hurts to switch it up and give something else a try.
Right. I mean, Courage is with a new partner here. He's up against Ninja, who was his partner last week. I mean, Courage is someone that we can see go off.
Last week was Daquan
Oh yeah,
and
you're right. You're
Ninja.
right. That was.
2 weeks ago.
Oh
2 weeks
gosh,
ago.
man, the weeks are flying by.
Time
Um,
flies.
I mean, Scissors obviously a FaZe member. There's tons of FaZe members here on this list, including Rice Gum, who's in part of FaZe, not really a part of FaZe, but friends with them. Banks right there, Tenpo also part of FaZe. There's so many FaZe people on this list, but I think we missing Baldy from Optic from last week. I don't think he's on the list this week.
I do not see him. So
And what about
yeah.
Liquid? Is Liquid on here either? The Liquid crew.
You know who's not on here? Team Secret.
No, yeah, he is right there, Mongrel. He's just
Oh,
not
is he?
with his normal partner.
So he's
So,
letting him in, huh?
yes, they let him
Well,
in.
now Panda's a dumbass. Good job, Panda.
he just doesn't have the giant secret in front like other teams do. Now that's the big question. I mean, will we have a second repeat? It's a new partner now, obviously. So it won't be the same partner repeating, but we could have the player repeat. And this could be a true test for this little 13-year-old here. Doesn't matter who he's partnering with. Is he going to dominate and win? He has the FaZe boys to go through. If they make it that far, he also has, the King Richard and then Cypher in the top bracket. That's going to be another tough, matchups for him. But he handled it last week fine. And seeing him with a new partner, it'll be interesting to see how they do. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, I mean the top bracket is definitely the one to watch here. Bottom bracket has the Ninja matchup. It has TSM and Lupo. I mean, it's really not. It's not the top bracket for sure, though.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, TSM. I don't know. I'm trying to think. We're obviously going to end this Friday Fortnite conversation before we get into the interview with if we had to put money on someone, who would it be? And I'm still trying to decide that. And then let's also do who is our underdog team. So let's start thinking about that. As soon as if you have one first, go for it. At least let's start with if you're putting money on someone to bet, who's it gonna be? And then I'll also think of my underdog team that I think has the best chance.
Yeah, now that we've looked over the entire lineup, really, it just what's stuck in my mind is if I had to pick somebody, if I had to put my money on somebody right now, who would it be? And I think accounting for the toughness of the brackets and kind of the gauntlet that the top half has to go to, I think whoever comes out of that TSM matchup is going to be the winner of the tournament this week. I know it's a little kind of cheap by saying an entire matchup, but I mean, it's 2 of 4 TSM members. So it doesn't really matter who wins. They're obviously incredibly good. So I think whoever wins that one, obviously, I picked Myth and Ham. So there you go. Myth and Ham, 2-time champ. Book it.
It's time for them to not really redeem themselves, but have another strong week since they've been having some, off weeks the last couple times. Let's see. I mean, I'm gonna avoid FaZe just because they're already that 2-time champs. They're really strong. They have a good chance of winning. If I'm gonna put money on someone right now, if I had to choose, I'm actually gonna pick the Ninja and Hysteria and try to see if Ninja can finally get that first win. I think maybe Hysteria is gonna bring a really some nice benefits towards Ninja, even though he's been playing with people like Daquan and Courage. I'm gonna put money on them this week, and not even a huge Ninja fan, but I'm just gonna try to pick a team out that maybe is gonna finally play pretty well. We're gonna keep a tally and figure out from here on out. We've missed 6 weeks casually, but if we can actually do these prediction episodes, we'll kind of keep account of who we've been talking about and keeping track of if Panda or Endless gets them right. But you're going to go with Myth and Ham. For my team that's more of an underdog that I could see come through out of nowhere and play really well this week, I think I'm going to have to go with. It doesn't sound like an underdog when you say their names, but King Richard and Aimbot Calvin, I think, they've been playing so well the last couple of weeks. I'm going to give it to them as an underdog to finally, complete getting into that finals at least and having a good chance at winning. And they've been really, really close the last couple of weeks. And maybe this could be their week. They have a lot of big matchups to go through. But if they catch fire and Calvin and Richard are, playing well together, I think they can do it.
I respect that, and yeah, obviously they're both good, and they've been deep in the tournament before, so there's obviously a possibility of them doing it. I think mine, and obviously not by seed, is it really an underdog, and I guess I only call it an underdog because it's a newer matchup. We haven't seen them play before, and we haven't seen this guy in before, and it's back to that Avery High Distortion matchup. I think that's
Ooh,
one that again by name not really an underdog, and by seed not an underdog. Now, granted, the seeding is completely random,
doesn't
but
matter.
I think that's gonna be my underdog pick. I think Avery and High Distortion. I think High Distortion may take a game or two to kind of get used to the format, possibly,
Mm-hmm.
of only having one teammate to play with and just kind of actually working together to get kills versus himself uh, in a solo squad. But I think they'll figure it out, and I think uh, they'll be a good chance there and a good underdog.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good pick. I like HD. I think he has a chance to go off and make some big plays. Week 7 is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be exciting to see. Once again, we'll have to see how the views go. With I'm sad Tim's not in it, but he's off doing other things. We have a lot of still the big names: Ninja, the FaZe Boys, and TSM. Adding in some big rappers who may pull some new views, so that'll be interesting. I don't have anything else. I'm ready for this interview. If you are, Panda, is there anything else you want to talk about for this week 7 of Friday Fortnite?
Nope. Let's get this inaugural interview underway, man. Let's get
Heck
her
yeah.
going.
All right, so let's go ahead and switch over to our very first interview today. Let me go ahead and give a quick introduction. We're joined with Hunter. He is the owner and the creator of the FPL Fortnite Esports Twitter page. This man has been grinding like crazy. He's been giving everyone, if you follow him, I'm sure you are aware that he's just been giving everyone every information you need, tweeting out the teams, creating, boards, Excel sheets of every player, every team that's been coming out. I've been thoroughly enjoying following his page. Hunter, thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you. It's good to have you guys support me. I know you guys supported me. I think you were my 54th follower.
Heck yeah.
If my photographic memory can help a lot out there, but I think you guys were supporting well before any professional player was. And that's what I'm trying to do is give back to those who have supported me so far. So that's why I'm here. You guys have been really nice to me. So I want to help out your guys' podcast in any way I can for sure.
I mean, let's just real quick. I mean, you started like you said. I literally followed you like a month ago. I found you. I happened to find you pretty early, which was awesome. I was starting to get the idea of creating a new podcast since I have another podcast about another game covering their esports. I've been loving Fortnite. I found you early, and I was like, okay. So I started following along with the scene, and you're at 807 followers currently. You've been growing like crazy. Like you mentioned, some pro players. You've been getting in touch more and more, and your growth over the last month has been awesome. So congrats on that.
Thank you, man. That means everything. I was talking to my best friend. He's saying it's crazy how much I've grown, and I was saying like, dude, like my whole life has changed in one summer. Really, one whole month, and it's been exciting, dude. Every day is like more ideas are coming. The connections are getting better. The support has been growing. It's like an everyday thing of watching something just grow and grow. It really makes me more connected to everybody.
Now, is that something you kind of saw happening from the beginning? Like, were you expecting this kind of blow up, or were you expecting it to kind of be? Obviously, it's been a grind, but were you expecting it to be a little slower?
Yes. So a little background on me and how I determine things are processes and not events. I used to be a writer for a music publication site at 10,000 followers, and over 10 years over 2 years we gradually gained to 75,000 followers. That's how I pretty much learned how to grab connections. I learned how to write emails professionally. I learned how to write, and as you can see, like my tweets are pretty professional. So that's how I learned that. It was just the love of doing it and seeing it grow because it did grow, and it may have took 2 years. And I love those guys that helped me out so much, but I had to move on. We just didn't see eye to eye, so I had to move on to better things. And I always loved video games, and um, and I saw that there was a Twitter page, Fortnite Battle Royale Live. That's another guy in the scene. He does great things. We collab every now and then on info and stuff. I saw that he was doing it, and I was like, well, I have ideas, but he didn't want to hear out my ideas. So I was like, that's totally fine. So I'm going to do my own thing. So I talked to Dare Hoodie. They're not part of Dare anymore. They left though, but his name's Hoodie. And he's like, dude, this is all great stuff. And I actually had a podcast idea, and he was like, dude, I'd love to be on it. And he said, create a page. So I created a page, and I already had the FPL board, already had it, like just memorizing from watching scrims every night. I just created it by memorizing teams, and I had no info. This was just a fan. So I posted that, and that tweet gained in itself 50,000 Twitter interactions, and I already have 500,000 in a month. So that is 1/10 of my interactions, just that tweet alone. So I haven't seen how much followers I've gained from it, but in one night I gained 200 followers just from posting the first ever FPL board. So
Yeah, it's definitely awesome seeing, for me, I obviously know bigger names. Now following your boards, I'm starting to learn smaller names. I'm starting to catch up on some of these scrims and seeing these pro players that are grinding out every day and, trying to make it in the early stages of this Fortnite esports scene. I mean, what kind of background do you have within esports fan wise? I mean, is there any other major games that you really were involved with before Fortnite came out? Is there any other, past video game history that you maybe took up a lot of your time in the past?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was actually learning about the backgrounds of different Fortnite pros and where they came from. I haven't found anybody who's came from this game, and it's one of the biggest esports titles. I came from Call of Duty.
Okay.
I played competitively. I'm still very good. I still play it. It's just I didn't see a career in it. I didn't see spending 8 to 12 hours a day playing Call of Duty, especially as the titles kind of got worse. I didn't see adapting to every title within a few weeks to even be the best player. I've been to a few LANs. I've actually won open qualifiers to play in pool play in 2011 UMG. That's the best highlight I have in my esports career. That was Black Ops 1. That was my best game by far. I was 11. I was actually 12 at the time when that happened.
Dang.
Yeah, I was grinding. One summer I probably would play till 6 a.m. and wake up at noon, and I would play Call of Duty. I had absolutely no life when I was 12 and 13, and then my esports career as a player took off in Black Ops 2. We had an investor on a team called Domino Effect. He owned the rights to it. He owned the LLC Domino Effect esports team. So he pretty much contracted 4 players out. Two that me and another guy, pretty much we stayed together no matter which team we went to. And then 2 other players that we knew in the amateur scene we were in. He contracted us and he just paid us $100 a month to play. And he paid for any LAN we attended. We only attended 2 LANs in Black Ops 2. But then what was the next title? Advanced Warfare came out, I believe. I ran into some family problems. My parents divorced. I didn't. My mom was making it on her own. She didn't have enough money to buy me the new game, so I sat out Advanced Warfare for a year. The next title was Ghost. I sat out that. Then I got back into Black Ops 3. I grinded that, and I just saw that, with the jetpacks, it would take me well over a year to even adapt again. So I couldn't adapt to be the best player I used to be in previous Call of Duties, but I still competed really hard. We got top 3 in the summer circuit for game battles for the summer league, and I still play with those guys. And then how I got into Fortnite was because of Black Ops 3. We were just tired of it. We were tired of the jetpacks, and we were tired of just, we had miscommunication a lot of times, but we generally liked playing with each other, even though like we didn't see eye to eye. It wasn't like I hate playing with that guy that you hear about a lot, but yeah. So it was September 14th, because I remember looking at it on my downloads, and he was like, hey man, this new game Fortnite's coming out. I saw it on a YouTube trailer. And I actually saw it on a YouTube trailer too, and I just didn't think anything of it. And he's like, "Hey man, download it. It's free." Actually, I was like, "What do you mean it's free?" He was like, "I thought it was $20 for their story mode." He's like, "Nah, dude, they last minute created a battle royale mode for it, like H1Z1." I had heard of H1Z1, so I was like, "Oh, okay." So we played it, and I was absolutely terrible at the game the first 2 weeks. I was absolutely terrible, and I'm the type of dude, if I don't see that I'm going to be good, I put it down. Like if I don't see I can grind my way to be better, I put the game down. And so I put the game down for 2 weeks. We played Black Ops 3 for 2 more weeks, and then we got tired of it. I was like, I'm going to give Fortnite a try. I played Fortnite for a month, and I fell in love with the game. And that's pretty much how I started Fortnite. I was actually a season 1 player. I'm proud to say that. I don't have skins to show it like everybody else does. I was seconds away from buying a Skull Trooper, and I was like, it's a waste of money. $20 for a skin, you can't even do it. But I was super upset I didn't do that. But I'm a season 1 player of Fortnite on the PS4. I have 500 wins right now. I would like to say I'm still in tune with competitive play. I just realized I actually haven't played the game strictly a lot, because I realized there's not a scene for PS4. So I figured out that all these guys are crazy with it on PC. And I remember the first professional stream I watched was Myth's stream. He had under 1,000 viewers. So I'm not gonna say I'm an OG Myth fan because I actually didn't even sub to him or anything. I was just watching it one day, and they were stream sniping each other. Professional players are stream sniping each other, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with the video of him killing Summit, but
Yeah.
I actually saw that live, and I was like, oh my god, this game is incredible, like the building aspect. So I learned a lot more about it. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the YouTube channel Streamer Highlights, but they got me into the scrims, like the squad scrims. And that's pretty much where we meet now. I found out about the Fortnite Battle Royale live page. I had ideas, and that's where we're at right now, pretty much.
Dang, it's pretty sweet that you have definitely like a history of esports, and your path of getting here to Fortnite as a whole is a pretty sweet story. Definitely being Call of Duty. Obviously, Panda and I both played a lot of Call of Duty in our summer times during junior high all the way through high school. So we definitely feel that grinding, waking up at 6 a.m. and playing till 2 a.m. So
Oh yeah,
Definitely some long nights there.
yeah.
So
Oh
was
yeah.
it like a flashback nightmare then when Fortnite and Epic added the jetpack?
It was. Originally, I thought it was just gonna be a tactic people use to get better, like faster building. And I saw nobody doing that until the last lifespan of it. Like the last few days, people were starting to, use that spin and circle and just build a quick high one by one. That's what I thought it was going to be. And I thought it was going to, like, obviously, I heard the leak that there's going to be fuel, so it's not going to be a real thing. But yeah, it brought nightmares back. But now I definitely don't like the way Fortnite's heading. I actually picked up Black Ops 3 again, and we've been grinding that. So, and then with World War II, with the fall of that game, I didn't like that game at all. And I'm a huge boots on the ground Call of Duty fan. With that game flopping, in my opinion, on the competitive side, going back to Black Ops 3 is really like something that like you really don't know what you have until it's gone, because that game was so fast paced, and that was probably a top 3 esports title for Call of Duty, Black Ops 3, in my opinion. Looking back on it, at the time, nobody thought that, but I think a lot of competitive players agree as well.
Yeah, you've been seeing some Call of Duty players, looking at Fortnite and trying to pick the game up and see if they want to make a switch over to Fortnite. Obviously, with an esports announcement from Epic being $100 million, that's, it's hard not to ignore what Fortnite's doing and Epic's doing. You did mention you don't really like where Fortnite's headed, esports scene wise. Recently, we've seen some announcements off of the E3 event, the Pro Am, about how it's going to be a duo solos type situation for the World Cup. Is what it's called. A lot of players weren't
Hmm.
really happy it not being squads. Some people saying, why wouldn't Epic tell us that, hey, practicing and scrimming squads right now is useless. What have you seen within the scene, or what is your opinion on the decision to maybe focus on solos and duos, and what would you prefer to watch as a fan?
From what I can tell you, from what I've seen from players, um, when it first got announced, everybody was panicking. And actually, I can tell you, I'm not going to name specific names of organizations. I can tell you, over 10 plus top tier 3, tier 2, tier 1 orgs have backed out from picking up a squad just off that announcement alone. I have a leaked spreadsheet that I don't show anybody but my other guy who helps me out. Um, after seeing that, I put that in a whole nother section of leaks, because if that is true, it, that just shows me that Epic isn't communicating with these like premier esports organizations, and that hurts me as a spectator, as a fan, and as someone who is proud to say he has some pull in this community now. Um, and then from as a fan, I don't mind duos and solos actually. Um, Actually, Epic was giving out duo codes to the pro players in the pro Discord a month or two before this was announced. So it was kind of getting weird when like they were giving out duo codes for just duo scrims, and King Richard actually said on his stream that he actually leaked the information himself, and I think he was under the influence of alcohol that night. But he said that Epic is going in the way of duos and solos. And I was like, and I watching that clip, I was like, nah, no way. You know, these guys have been playing at the time. It's probably 4 or 5, maybe even pushing 6 months of every single night for 2.5 hours, 3 hours. They have been practicing squads. They've been practicing squad scrims, and for him to say that, that was the night he got signed to Envy. That was the night he announced he got signed as a streamer, as a competitive solo player to Envy. When that happened, I was like, "There's no way." And then seeing that article, seeing that video that it's going to be solos and duos focused, is it hurt a little, because I know so many teams that were just going to not disband, but just focus on duos, and there is a lot of talk amongst the orgs of just picking up 3 players. It's already announced, so I can say it. Cloud9 picked up a squad team and then picked up a set other 3. I said a while ago that you should have 7 people signed to an org, and they did that without even knowing that Epic was gonna, focus on duos and solos. So Cloud9 picking up a set 4, then adding a whole nother 3 just goes to show that they don't even know what Epic wants to do in terms of competitive play. So as a spectator, I definitely think this community in itself can push for squads, and I think there will be a squad pro league. But a lot of the players love playing solos and duos competitively too. So we're all looking at, like, why can't it be all 3? Like, why can't you have orgs? Why can't you have players represent orgs that are focused on all 3 at the same time? It makes this game a lot more interesting to watch as an esports title, and it's doing something that no other esports title has done. So I'm skeptical, but I'm optimistic at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, when I've obviously am involved with another game called Vainglory. It's a much smaller game, but I'm involved in the esports scene there. And one of the biggest thing I've seen is just how the developers and how the dev team can balance, what the community wants and
Yeah.
what the esports scene needs. And Epic has tons of other games to look at. They have PUBG, they have H1Z1. They can see what's worked and hasn't worked within their esports league. And I mean, I'm not in total panic mode. This whole World Cup type situation, duos, solos. I think
Yeah.
Epic needs to take it slow, make sure they figure things out correctly. I mean, it's rough because you have teams, and especially top teams. You see TSM, have FaZe, everyone with all these 4 members, and it kind of puts them in a tough spot. This is obviously some people's livelihood. This is all they're doing is,
Oh yeah.
scrimming, and they're trying to be professional players. You can't mess with someone's livelihood and be like, all right, I'm not going to tell you exactly what we're doing, but continue to practice and grind. So I get
The wrong thing. Yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
and I get players' concerns, but I think hopefully, an Epic we trust and trusting the devs, we'll see them, make some right decisions and slowly build the esports scene in the right direction for sure.
Yeah. Totally. You saying that actually brings me to, I was talking to a player last night. Um, he's super, like, unknown in the pro Discord. He's super unknown. Like, he's underrated too, but he's in talks with a top 1 org, like not top 1, a tier 1 org, of signing him and his duo partner. And it's absolutely crazy because I asked him, we were all talking about contracts, and we had heard that I had heard that the average contract for professional established esports orgs that they are giving to their players monthly is around 2,000, and that's what I had heard a month. And we were talking about that, and I'd asked, so do you have, like, his name is Sketch, by the way. He's on End Effect. That's it's abbreviated E2. You will see them signed to org very soon. They're very good players. I was like, so do you have a job? Like is this all you do? Like, we were talking about contracts. She's like, dude, this is all I do. And
Yeah.
and like and he was telling me in Epic, like we were, everybody who just grinds this game 12 hours a day in hopes of finding that $2,000 a month contract, it was really hurt by Epic saying that we're just gonna focus on solos and duos mainly. That really took it home to me last night. They're like, we see these guys' names on screens and we see them do unbelievable things in game. Like these are people too that need an income and need financial support to keep doing what they're doing, and that really put things into perspective to me last night, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, esports it's not an easy world. It's not an easy game. You have to definitely put yourself out there and risk the chance of something being only, it's not permanent, maybe temporary, but it's the risk a lot of people take. And you can see if these pro players also can be entertainers. Obviously, there's future on Twitch and whatnot, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. Real quick, let's take a look at what you've been doing on Twitter wise. You've been making these boards. We've been talking about just these lists of teams. You also have been doing EU. I'm sure that's probably a little more challenging than NA to find all that information, but you've been getting a lot of information on a lot of teams down. Are there any? I know this is probably gonna be a hard question for you, so you can take the time you need. But what are some of these sleeper teams, some of these smaller teams that aren't signed, these tier one orgs that are, super talented, that are definitely maybe looking to get picked up by a tier one org, or maybe anyone you want to shout out that, is extremely talented?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm actually on my board right now. I can tell you a team called the Coordinated Bot Team, abbreviated CBT. If any of you guys out there watch streamer highlights, I can tell you that team is probably the best underrated team that isn't signed, and they will sign to a tier one org very soon. I'm super happy for all those guys. That team consists of B-Sox, Aragon, Crow Dot Wave, and Creo. And actually, B-Sox was on Tempo's team. Tempo just formally announced that he signed to FaZe. They were on a team called Superbots, so I'm super happy for B-Sox. He deserves it. That's a great player. He's been great to me. There's a lot of other players going down this list. A team called Rain. There's a great player on their team on that team called Spiffed. He's great. I don't know if they're in any talks right now. I haven't heard anything through the grapevine, but I really hope they get picked up. Snood is on that team. I hope they get picked up. I hope he gets picked up by an org if they don't sign all four. And there's a team called DTF that consists of KP5, Chopper Down. He's in the H1 community. A really great player. Crunch is their third. They don't have a fourth. They just last night, KP tweeted out that the contract is signed. The announcement's coming very soon. And I know who they signed with. I'm super happy for them. And there's a lot of just free agents that are absolute monsters that just seem to can't stick with a team or find a team. And it's just because they're young. There's a player named Sofa. He's actually in my 2v2 tournament. Watching his stream, he's an absolute monster. I hope this team called Thick Turtles gets picked up. Their captain Animal has been great to me. They're a very good team. They literally like. I would love to see the stat of them getting top 5 in every scrim game they play. I'm pretty sure it's a high number. As you see more, there's a lot of players who are just confirmed with orgs but can't be announced yet.
Yeah.
So seeing like the guys on the board that aren't picked up right now, it's not really many that truly deserve it. I definitely think Skatch's team in Defect deserves it because he's been telling me his stats the past 2 weeks of squad sniping and duo sniping, and he's been telling me that they're getting huge recognition from Team Liquid, from JLMOC and FaZe, pretty much saying in the Discord that these guys are going to be something to mess with. And somebody like JLMOC, who has Twitch pull, a YouTube pull, a cultural pull, being FaZe is a complete cultural icon of a squad in this gaming culture and internet culture, I feel like. And he has Fortnite pull. For him to say that is huge for a small guy like Scat. So there's a lot of great players that are already on teams, orgs that just haven't been announced yet, and it's few that don't deserve it that aren't signed right now is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, all these players, they're doing their best to grind, and the process of talking and figuring out what their worth is in the esports scene is definitely a part of it. Um, NAEU, a lot of people like to compare those two. How's the EU scene look to NA? Are they, as let's see, completed, or are they as mature as a scene as NA is right now, or is EU a little behind when it comes to talented players or big orgs getting involved?
For sure. When I was younger, I used to think like there's no way European players could compete with us North American players. But I can 100% tell you with confidence, EU is a more mature scene.
Okay.
They they're way more adapted to their Discord. They have their own like ranking system. They have weekly tournaments with Bush Paranoia, with War Legend. The players are a lot younger though, that's for sure, and that's because I was talking to a player from Knights last night, an NA team. That's because EU teams are picking up younger players, because when they transfer, when they buy out that team name for the orgs, it you don't have to pay for 14-year-olds to travel. You don't have to pay for 15-year-olds to go to lands. You don't have to pay them a monthly contract because these kids don't care about that right now. They care about the game and just literally being the best one, the best EU player in the scene. So that's why you see these tier 3 and even smaller tier 2 orgs buying these EU contracts or buying these EU players, because like these young EU players don't care, but they're still very good. I would say as a scene, EU versus NA, they're way more mature in terms of they're already advanced. They're already more advanced because they have customs. They play every night on custom games. So and NA hasn't even got customs yet. So I can definitely tell you EU guys will compete at land very hard. Um, and back to a title that I recognize, the Red Reserve. They're in a org, but they have EU players, and they're competing very well right now, and they're probably a top 5 team to deal with. I can definitely tell you, Team Secret is going to be a tough team on land if they don't have age restriction for Mongrel and
Yeah.
Dementos. That's real tough for them because that's one of the best teams in the EU. I feel like Barrage is a great team. Um, Method is probably, if not the best team, the second team. Personally, I think the best team is Epsilon. Um, all 4 of their players are literally best friends. Like they play so well together. And then Kingwin picked up 2 orgs. That is huge for the scene. That's what's going to happen more and more. You're going to see that happen more and more. I feel like Kingwin is definitely like a team to mess with now that they picked up both of those orgs. Only Hope is a very good team. There's a lot of good teams on this spreadsheet right now that will compete with NA teams and will be better than a lot of the NA established orgs. I feel like for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good to see that. EU definitely taking their own route and things, their own strategy, and seeing them be able to have their customs and kind of be ahead of the game already will definitely be tough for NA. They have to make sure they keep up with them.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's like what is actually helping EU is because they're already 6 months ahead of where NA should be, but isn't, and we have no idea why Epic hasn't given us customs yet on the NA side. There hasn't been any updates besides a post in March saying custom games is coming soon for competitive players. That was on March 7th. We're 4 months past that now, so there hasn't even been talks of it. And there are Epic staff in the pro Discord, and it seems like they don't read anything. They don't. It just seems like they're there for roster changes and announcements and to understand the big part. But I feel like Epic needs to have like not a committee, just a set group of players
Right.
that are giving them info that has made titles like CS:GO and COD last 5+ years in the esports scene. Overwatch is doing that now. I know a lot of the big teams are giving their feedback, and Overwatch is definitely here to stay. They may not have merit right now, but they're definitely here to stay. Halo is here to stay, and that's because they have players giving back feedback. And Gears of War is something that their players still, even though that's kind of a shaky esports scene, they still give feedback, and and the developers of those games listen. Um, I feel like what do you guys think about like the terms of the competitive side of Fortnite, and then the casual like 14-year-old kid side of Fortnite? Like, what do you guys feel like Epic cares? Like making money, or like pushing for like a fun game to dominate the gaming world? Like, what do you guys think about
Right.
that?
Well, I can tell you, coming from my other community in Vainglory, and how that dev team works. I mean, you look at the top 1% is competitive, and then the rest. I mean, at least in Vainglory wise, 1% is competitive. The rest is going to be your casual, the people that are playing the game, the people that are keeping the game alive. I mean, at the end of the day, Epic has to focus on, I think, the game, and the casual members, the one that are grinding skins, the one that are paying for skins, making them the money. And maybe this early competitive is not as important, but I obviously, being an esports fan, I want a dev team and specific people to be focused on esports and trying to make Fortnite esports a top importance, I guess I would say.
Yeah,
I
yeah. You go. You go.
I agree with Endless. I think right now they're definitely looking at all that money they're making, and they think the entertainment side is definitely going to be the, I guess for now, the big scene. I mean, whether we look at E3 and the kind of people they brought into that, or even the way they just kind of go about everything with boosting the streamers up as much as they can and getting those views out there and getting the Fortnite name out there. Um, but again, like I said, I agree with him and I agree with you. I think something we all want to see is that competitive aspect of Fortnite, because we see how competitive the streamers can get. So we all want to see how competitive those pros can get and really see how great and just good and dedicated those guys are to this game.
Yeah, that's what I agree. That's what I was gonna say. I just wanted to hear your guys' opinion on it. I definitely feel like this game, not because this game isn't even a competitive title, but they took the Minecraft approach of having, you know, the YouTube videos, the Twitch streams, the interactions on Twitter, the interactions on Instagram. They took all of that, and I feel like it got to their head in terms of saying, hey, like, let's just focus on our 99% players that give us the money, like that make us rich, and let's not focus on the 1% who don't give us money but play because this could be their life, this could be their financial situation. I definitely feel like they're rewarding players who are casual players, and there's a lot of games that do that, don't get me wrong, but there's games who balance it out perfectly, and I don't even think Epic wants to do that, honestly, in my opinion. So I hope it changes drastically.
Yeah,
Now, do you
balancing
think at all
is.
that
Go on.
there's anything to do with that right now? They just want all this attention so that they can get the name bigger and then go into that kind of pro scene. That way, they already have a big following, and that build up to it
Hmm.
all to eventually give those pros their chance and let them be seen by a lot more people than per se starting in that pro league and trying to grow the views and grow the entertainment base there.
Yeah, yeah, I've thought about that too. You know, are they gearing up for to be the biggest esports title? Definitely money wise, they already are. Stats have already been done. Articles have already been posted saying if Epic goes through with the $100 million, they will be the biggest developer company to fund their esports title. So, funding wise, they already, if what they promise is true, already are the biggest esports title, and there hasn't even been a LAN yet, a set LAN. I have thought about, are they trying to get bigger, but Fortnite already is the biggest game in the world. I don't know how big they can get until they like have what they want, because they make there's articles I read every month from Business Insider. They make $250 million a month just off skins alone, just off their V-Bucks store. That is
Insane.
absolutely insane. To even that's in 1 month, that's more money than like I'll ever even think about seeing in 1 month. So I've thought about, are they trying to get bigger and be the biggest esports title? But they're already the biggest game, and I don't see why I don't see. And their E3 announcement proved it to me that like they're trying to do something different with their World Cup situation. But just from reading what players are saying and hearing what they talk about, these players aren't going to care at all about the World Cup. They're strictly for lands. They're strictly for online qualifiers. That's what they're preparing for. So I, I hope if there is some elaborate plan of what Epic Games is doing, I'm not seeing through it at all. It's something that we don't know, and they're keeping under wraps. If we get what we want eventually.
Yeah, one thing that as a company, I think they've advertised. They got the game out there. Obviously, it is literally pop culture. Everyone knows what Fortnite is. If you don't know what Fortnite is, you are clearly out of the loop. So I agree with you. They've done that job of advertising. They have this amazing game, and now they need to make that transition to start focusing on esports to an extent and give a lot of these competitive players and esports fans what they want. I mean, you look at an E3 event, the Pro Am, that had 700,000 people watching on Twitch at one point, I saw. Now, if we throw away all the entertainers and we put all the pros there, I would be interested to see how many fans still watch, because maybe they're a fan of Marshmallow, but they don't care about these smaller pro players. So that'll be interesting to see if the numbers are there as well for maybe these smaller teams. Then you also, you look at just specifically what they're trying to do with the World Cup, and whether the World Cup is going to be the main thing, or if this $100 million they have is going to go towards smaller community tournaments. We see Keemstar, other tournaments that are being put on by just people that love esports. Maybe Fortnite will start throwing money their way, and you'll have all these other lands, and maybe the World Cup is going to be their first attempt at esports, and them trying to figure out what approach they want to take. Obviously, it's not going to be an Overwatch, a buy-in, only 10-team franchise like a League of Legends or Overwatch. So that I agree with. I like that everyone has a chance to make a name for themselves in some
Me
sense.
too. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. It's definitely a ride. It's the beta. We're all here to see it grow, and people's frustrations. I understand why they're frustrated, especially when it is their livelihood. You have an 8-year-old kid trying to tell their parents they want to be a professional Fortnite player. That's hard to let parents be on board with that if there's maybe really nothing for them to prove that they're able to make a living or that it's worth it for their future. So it'll be interesting to see for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's super like great, like going out of the box and thinking that with what you just said right there. It's really tough for like players to like know and what to do with their lives, because this is their life. When there's no like communication back and forth between the esports scene in Fortnite and the developers. So I'm super scared for these guys, but I think everything will work out. And we really just need to get custom games in here, and then
that's step one.
yeah, that is step one, and I think we'll be okay from there.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Before we get into what you're doing in the future, and other people that have been helping you out that you want to shout out, Panda, do you want to ask one of the other questions you have? One more question.
I think we've talked about a good amount, and I think you've brought a lot of insight to it. And I mean, I know I speak for both of us on the podcast as a whole that we appreciate you coming on here and giving us this extra knowledge that, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people don't have. A lot of people don't have this kind of behind the scenes or in-depth look at the pro scene, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to learn from the things you're saying. So we definitely appreciate it.
No problem, man. I appreciate you guys giving me the time and hearing me talk, and me actually get myself out there as a businessman, and hearing the voice behind the tweets and the account in the business. It really helps me personally and business wise, getting my name out there. I appreciate you guys a ton.
All right, so any big plans in the future that you want to kind of tease, or anything else you want to announce before we go ahead and wrap this episode up?
Yes, a few things. I'm holding a 2v2 showdown. We're calling it FPL Showdown V1. I'm actually in the Discord right now, talking to a few of the guys. Originally it was going to be July 22nd. I learned I couldn't have the funds personally. At first I was personally funding this $200 out of my own pocket. I learned I wouldn't have the funds then. I had to move it back a week. Then I heard that there is a LAN the weekend I wanted to do it. And I'm working on going out there and covering that event. So I'm moving it back to August 4th and 5th. It has a lot of professional players in the Discord. I am giving a lot of Step 1 Legendary League players a chance, but some of the players, I haven't actually formally announced it, but I will go ahead and do that today. Some of the players, let me flip to my notebook. There it is. We have K-Sid on Energy. He has been the biggest help in this community for me thus far. He actually sent me the invite to the Pro Discord just yesterday morning. He has helped me in our scoring structure, both for a LAN event I'm planning to do. That's not set in stone yet. We're in very early stages of that, but he's been the biggest help. So I had to repay him and let him compete in this. His teammate Vaqueros, they're currently a duos partner in any energy duos events. If they do compete, they will compete together. I have a kid named Frat. He's on Lucid Dreams. He is a great young player. I love watching him. I have Onslaught, the esports organization Onslaught, competing in this with their team captain and their best player, Tino, and their Slayer called Flyrai. I have formerly known as T-Sin, but now they're 9 Damage. I have players competing for them with Flower and Dre. I have B-Sox and Aragon, who, again, I don't know why they're not on the org yet, but they will be very soon. They're competing in it. I have World Best Gaming competing in here with Tasty Sloth and Lazius. I have a bunch of free agents with Sofa, with Sense, with Tommy, with Excuse, with Slappy. A lot of great free agents from the Discord. And then I have an entire squad competing from Legendary League called Mini Gunners. That's actually a Las Vegas esports team. They have supported me, so I'm returning the favor. I have Wawa competing in here with Famhood and Zarps. And just last night, I was promised more funding for the tournament, so I was told to scrap everything I had and to add 16 more teams. And I have a few of those. I have E2 competing in here, which is End Effect. They're very close to completely signing with an org. Let me flip to who I have. I have the Knights team, which is a Pittsburgh organization. I have their entire 4 competing. I have Hoist the Colors, which is a huge, smaller esports organization, but they're in a lot of small titles. I have 2 of their players competing, and I have a Ghost player, one of the best young talents in the game. He's just about to turn 15. His name is Enzo. He will be one of the new 16 I bring in. I'm currently talking to an investor to make this prize pool thousands of dollars instead of a couple hundred. That's the biggest thing I have planned. I have a LAN planned later on down the road, but without customs, me and the organization that I'm partnering up with can't formally announce anything because there's nothing to do squad wise without customs. So
Yeah.
that's definitely something that's down the road. I'll keep doing what I'm doing as far as updating the FPL board, posting announcements, posting, controversial things in the community that people will see and can react to. Statements. I want to be the one-stop shop to see what players are saying about their current situation in Fortnite. I just want to be the best community member I can be to these guys, and building one-on-one relationships with all of them is really my goal. I never did this for money. I never did this for clout. I just did this to be in the scene the best I could, and it's really paying off for me that I've stayed humble and have tried my best to help players who have helped me back.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole point of this podcast as well. We just love the fact that we can talk about, some controversial things and just hopefully bring news and continue to bring topics to the floor that people can join in the conversation. So yeah, we definitely loved having you on. We would love to have you on again and maybe make this a little more of a normal thing to have you on and just discuss things in the scene, things that we like, things that we want to see Epic maybe add or change things up. So we do appreciate you coming on for sure, and keep grinding, man. You've been putting out tons of information. I know a lot of people are definitely enjoying it.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'd love to come back on. You can even have me on here weekly, dude. I'll make time for it, dude. I love stuff like this. I love starting small and just watching something grow, especially when you're putting a lot of your time, effort, and heart into it. And my success, I wish the same for you guys. And anything I can do to support and help you guys, I'm definitely here. If you want players on, I can try my best to vouch for you guys and get them on here. Esports personalities, I can try my best and help you guys out. That's no problem at all.
All right, man. We appreciate it, and we hope to talk to you soon in the future.
Yes, sir, man. See you later.
See ya.